This is Feldenkrais San Diego, and we're going to do an awareness through movement lesson. Today's lesson will be lying on the back. So let's begin in that position. Please lie on the floor, lie on your back, and find a comfortable way to lie on your back. Notice, do you lie with your legs long, with your legs extended on the floor? Or do you find it's more comfortable with the knees bent and the feet pointing toward, with the knees bent and the knees pointing toward the ceiling? So rest here on your back. And in this position, lying here, begin to observe which parts of you make contact with the floor. You'll notice that there are parts of your back that make a full contact with the floor. And you'll also notice that there are areas that are lifted from the floor. Get a sense of that. Get a sense of where your weight is resting on the floor. Feel the back of the head. There's a place where the back of the head is in contact with the floor, and there are other areas that are just lifted. You'll notice behind the neck, right? The neck is most likely lifted away from the floor. And you'll feel areas behind the shoulders that touch and areas that are lifted from the floor. And just systematically go through yourself. Get a sense of the different areas of your back that touch, the different areas of the back that don't touch the floor. Feel also the hips. How much of the hips actually make contact with the floor? Observe that. And now please bend both knees, if they're not already bent, right? So the knees are bent and the feet are standing. Separate the knees and feet well apart, so you can lie here comfortably on your back with knees bent and feet standing. So the two legs are separated from each other, maybe the width at least of the pelvis or the shoulders. So that with the feet standing, with the knees pointing toward the ceiling, begin a movement of taking the right knee between the two legs. So take the right knee, it moves away from your head, and it's making an arcing motion toward the floor. So let the right knee tilt inward, so the weight leans on the inside edge of the right foot, and the right knee approaches the floor, and come back. And this is without pushing or forcing or stretching, but just observe if you take the knee inward, see where it goes. How close to the floor does the right knee move? Many times take the right knee inward. And each time that you take the right knee inward, begin to observe what parts of your back lift from the floor. So you take your right knee between the two feet toward the floor, and as the right knee moves toward the floor, you'll find parts of your back lift from the floor. And leave that. And begin to do the same movement with the left knee. So again, both feet standing, both knees toward the ceiling. With your left knee, begin to take the left knee between the two legs. The weight shifts to the inside edge of the left foot. And come back. Many times exploring how the knee, what trajectory it takes, so that the left knee descends toward the floor and comes back. Many times. And every time the left knee descends toward the floor, observe how something in the back lifts. As much as you can, the right knee stays standing, and it's the left knee that goes between the two legs. Requires something in the pelvis has to shift. So the left knee is moving toward the floor between the legs, actually in front of the 2 feet. And you're listening to which areas, what lifts away from the floor as you do this movement. And just observe also, how symmetrical is this movement? Is it easier? Is this knee, the left knee, easier to come toward the floor? Or is it less easy than the right knee? Make this easier each time. And really play with extending the knee forward, away from you. So the left knee moves toward the floor and then comes back. And then a few times take the right knee toward the floor between the 2 legs, extending the knee away from your head and toward the floor. And come back, and then do the same thing with the left knee. And go back and forth very slowly, noticing how does the right knee approach the floor? How does the left knee approach the floor? Which knee comes closer? And when the right knee comes toward the floor, what areas of the back lift? What parts of you come away from the floor? How about when the left knee comes toward the floor? What parts of you lift away from the floor as the left knee approaches the floor in front of your feet? Many times go back between the 2 knees and explore the difference and how the whole right side, the whole back, what parts of you come into this as you bring the right knee toward the floor. Doing exactly the same thing, allowing the left knee to go between the 2 legs, between the 2 feet. Extending the left knee forward. What parts of you lift away from the floor? What lifts, what gets lighter? How symmetrical is this? And remember which knee approaches the floor more easily, which knee comes closer to the floor. Is it the right knee or is it the left knee? Get a sense of that. Get a sense of the difference between the 2 legs, how you use them. And please take a rest. As you rest on your back, note the difference in the contact with the floor. Observe what changes there in the areas. Are there more areas of your back in contact with the floor? Or are more areas lifted from the floor? See if you can determine some difference between when we began the lesson before we started this movement of bringing the knees to the floor. Has some change occurred? Please bend both knees, stand the 2 feet. Bring the knees to face the ceiling. Separate the knees and the feet comfortably apart, as wide as your hips or shoulders. And standing, with the feet standing like this, come back to allowing the right knee to tilt between the legs. So the weight leans to the inside edge of the right foot. The right knee moves toward the floor. This time, as you bring the right knee toward the floor, between the 2 legs, with the left foot, the sole of the left foot will stand on the lower right leg. So the area between the right knee and the right ankle and it'll be the outside edge of that. You'll place the left foot, the left sole of the foot on top of that. So stand on the area between the right knee and the right ankle. And now allow both knees to approach the floor. And in all lessons, it's not important how easily or how well you feel you do something. It's really exploring something. Maybe it's completely new territory. Really valuable. So explore this idea. Play with standing the left foot, the sole of the left foot on the area between the right knee and the right ankle. It'll be the outside edge of the foot, of the leg. So the sole of the foot, the sole of the left foot is standing on the outside edge of the area between the right knee and the right ankle. Standing like that, allow both knees to come toward the floor. It's really the knees come a little bit to the left. You'll find the whole right side of yourself lifting. There's a big arching motion behind the right side. And allow the two knees to descend toward the floor. Notice how well do the knees come toward the floor. These lessons are fun because you're exploring things, you're doing movements you may never have done, or you may not have done them for a very long time. And as you bring the two knees toward the floor, see if you can breathe. Are you breathing? Or do you find that when you do something new, do you hold your breath? So the Feldenkrais Method, we're looking at the idea that when you're holding your breath, you're working really hard. You're trying, you're efforting. So the movement doesn't have to, the knees don't have to touch the floor, but see if you can stay with your effort, with your intention, and decrease that and breathe. So with small movements, begin to bring the knees toward the floor, but without trying, without efforting. And observing that whole right side lifts away from the floor. You're not rolling, but the right side does move away from the floor. And take a break, rest. Bend both knees, stand both feet. The knees, of course, are separated, feet are separated. Bring the left knee toward the floor several times. How well does the left knee approach the floor? Bring the left knee toward the floor, and then lift the right foot away from the floor. Stand on the outside edge of the left foot so that there's a space. You're standing on the outside edge of the left foot between the knee and the ankle. The outside edge, you're stepping with your right sole of your foot. So stand on the outside of the foot there, the outside of the leg. And as you press through with your right foot, allow both knees to approach the floor and come back. And then again, let both knees approach the floor many times. And as the knees approach the floor, in this configuration, you'll notice the whole left side lifting from the floor, the left side of the back. You'll find parts of you, different parts of you, lift from the floor. Get a sense of that. Feel that area lifting away from the floor each time you descend the two knees toward the floor. What gets longer? Where do you feel more space? And with both knees toward the floor in this position, interlace your fingers. Place your interlaced fingers behind your head. Bring the two elbows toward each other. And use the arms to bring the head forward. So use the arms to lift the head, and feel that as you lift the head, do the knees come closer to the floor? Do the knees approach the floor better? So each time the head lifts, observe the knees, the two knees moving toward the floor. And then rest the head back on the floor. What do the knees do? When you bring the elbows forward, the elbows always stay toward each other as if to touch each other. And you bring the elbows forward, which carries the head forward. Let the two elbows move forward. Lift the head by using the arms and the elbows. And feel that allows the knees to come toward the floor more easily. Perhaps. Discover that. And take a rest. Please rest on your back. Bend both knees, stand both feet. Allow the right knee to move between the two legs. Bring the right knee toward the floor. Notice, do you go more easily toward the floor? Does the knee approach the floor more easily? With the right knee moving toward the floor, place the left foot, the sole of the left foot, on the area between the right knee and the right ankle, and let both knees move toward the floor. And with both knees moving toward the floor, interlace the fingers, but this time interlace the fingers non-habitually. So the other index finger is on top, the other thumb's on top. And with the interlaced fingers, place them behind your head. Carry the two elbows toward each other and use the arms to carry the head forward. As you bring the head forward, notice the knees approaching the floor. Bring the knees toward the floor. And notice if carrying the head forward using the arms, is it easier to bring the two knees toward the floor? What softens? What folds? What parts of you press the floor? What lifts from the floor as the two knees come toward the floor? Each time you keep the elbows toward each other so that the head is safely supported by the arms. Feel what areas of the back lift. Again, you're bringing the two knees toward the floor. How symmetrically do you do this? Is it easier to bring the knees toward the floor on this side, or less so? Please take a break, rest on your back. Bend both knees, stand both feet. Take your right knee between the legs. Discover how well, how comfortably, how easily does that right knee approach the floor. Does the right knee come toward the floor between the 2 feet, in front of the 2 feet? Stand the left foot on the area between the right knee and the right ankle, so both knees come toward the floor. Many times. And with both knees moving toward the floor, come up onto your forearms and your elbows. So you're leaning on your forearms and elbows and palms of the hands. And like this, protrude the abdomen forward, resting on your elbows. Protrude the abdomen forward. That means your elbows are right beneath your shoulders. And you can lean comfortably. Make sure that your head stays forward. Don't allow your head to move backward. Keep that head directly in front of you so your chin stays near your chest. And in this position, protrude the belly forward. But don't allow the head to fall back. The belly moves forward, and as the belly moves forward, observe the two knees coming toward the floor. Just taking the abdomen forward, does that help the knees come toward the floor? Observe that. Observe which elbow takes more weight. Do you feel how you lean more on one elbow? As the two knees come toward the floor, feel the back lifting. Observe the belly protruding forward. Feel that you lean powerfully on one elbow. And take a rest. Listen to your changing connection to the floor. What do you sense about the areas in contact with the floor? Has something changed? Please bend both knees, stand both feet. Let the left knee tilt between the legs, so the inside edge of the left foot comes toward the floor, the left knee comes toward the floor. So the whole left leg goes between the 2 feet, between the 2 legs, the left knee comes toward the floor. Stand the right foot, the sole of the right foot, on that area of the lower left leg between the knee and the ankle. Stand on that and then allow both knees to come toward the floor. So both knees approach the floor. And listen to how the back lifts in different areas. Come up onto, lean on your 2 elbows, your 2 forearms, the 2 palms of the hands. Take the elbows backward as much as you need to be comfortably upright with the head over yourself. So you really bring the head forward so that the chin is near the chest. Right? The head's really vertical. You may find as you protrude the belly that you want to take the head backwards. And in this lesson, you're not going to allow that to happen. Just for safety, keep your head forward and allow your belly to come forward. Allow your belly many times to come forward and feel how does that allow the knees. Do the knees come more easily toward the floor as you protrude your abdomen? And as you protrude your abdomen, you'll notice one elbow takes most of the weight. The weight shifts on the pelvis. The 2 knees come toward the floor. Is this side easier or is this less easy on this side? There'll be a difference. There's a discrepancy in how we use the 2 sides, and we're discerning. We're ferreting out differences. And as we observe and listen and pay attention, you'll notice that actually the movement becomes more symmetrical. So you lean weight on the 2 elbows and the forearms, and you protrude the belly forward. Many times. Protruding the belly forward, feeling how that allows the knees to more easily come toward the floor. And leave everything lie on your back. Take a rest. Extend your legs if you're more comfortable like that, or keep your knees standing, your feet flat on the floor, or your legs extended. So lying on your back, sense the areas of your back that make contact with the floor. Is there something different in lying here now? Is there some part of you touching the floor differently than when we began? Are you heavier or closer to the floor? Please bend both knees, stand both feet. Allow the right knee to come between the legs. Let the right knee approach the floor. And just see if this initial movement we began with, has this improved? Is this easier in some way? So let the right knee come between the two legs toward the floor and come back. Do the same thing with the left. Let the left knee come toward the floor and bring it back. Is this more symmetrical? Does it descend toward the floor more easily? Which areas lift away from the floor as you do this? Observe the breath, the breathing. And go from one to the other. Extend the left knee forward toward the floor. Easily, simply extend the right knee between the legs toward the floor. And leave it all alone and take a rest. Listen to the connection you make against the floor now. Has something changed here? Observe the breath in your abdomen, in your chest. Observe the length of your spine. When you're ready, bring yourself to sitting and observe yourself in sitting. Listen to yourself as you sit. Listen to the tilt of your pelvis, the verticality of your spine, your neck. What feels spacious? When you're ready, bring it to standing and observe your walking. What's easier in walking and moving? So this is Feldenkrais San Diego, and we'd love you to like us on Facebook. It's Feldenkrais San Diego. And if you're interested in visiting the website where the podcast lives, that would be feldenkraissd.com. And we'll be back next week. Thank you.